This is Frieren, the #1 anime of all time. It slaughtered this year's Crunchyroll Awards, was the only show in the last decade to claim the top spot on myanimelist, and even inspired a 17-year-old kid to stop a terrorist attack. Yeah, really, Frieren isn't your average anime. The show rose from relative obscurity to the pinnacle of storytelling in record time. There's just one problem. No one knows how she did it. Here's what I mean. Usually, when a show is good, it's because it follows a certain set of rules, right? Like storytelling rules developed over thousands of years by some of the best writers in history. Well, Frieren doesn't follow these rules, no. In fact, she actively breaks them. And the weird part? Instead of getting punished for it, she's blowing up in popularity. Like, what the heck is going on here? Well, after a ton of research, I found 3 very special rules that Frieren broke in very clever ways that not only helped her claw her way to the top, but also shaped the future of anime for years to come. And it all starts with rule number 1. The hero always starts weak. You know, the wimpy protagonist that slowly gets stronger over time? Yeah, that's a staple in like 99% of anime. And for good reason. You need your characters to start out weak, so they have room to grow. It's called progression, and it's a fundamental rule of storytelling. Seriously, shows live or die based on how good their progression is. So then, tell me why Frieren, the queen of anime, starts us off with a main character that's the most overpowered being in the show. Like, where are we supposed to go from here? There's zero room for progression left. And usually, doing something like this would be the storytelling equivalent of pushing the big red button at the nuclear power plant, right? Like, it makes it impossible to showcase the growth of your characters, the fights are too easy, and your audience doesn't get any of that crispy dopamine every time your hero levels up. So how does Frieren make it work? The answer is right in front of us. Think back to the last decade of anime. Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer. What do all these shows have in common? I'll give you a hint. We were just talking about it. The last 15 years of anime have been ruled by battle shonen, the hottest, hardest hitting, eyeball melting shows to ever exist. These shows were hype with a capital H. But after watching like 20 of them, you start to realize they're all kind of the same, right? Weak dude becomes strong dude. And after a while, that starts to get a little stale. And here's where Frieren comes in. Instead of feeding us the same old formula, she flips the entire concept of progression on its head. Power progression takes a backseat and makes way for emotional progression. You probably already heard this before, so I'm just gonna blast past this. Basically, instead of an action-packed slogfest with the fate of the world hanging in the balance, Frieren gives us the opposite. A quiet story about the struggles of a repressed elf. Instead of a story that escalates, we get a story that deepens. The point is, we never see this kind of thing in anime, and so it's something new to us, and our brains love new things. It generates buzz and gets people talking, but all this is still only step 1 of Frieren's master plan. Cause just when we think we got the show all figured out, bam! She pulls the rug from under us again, and this time by tearing down the very foundation of storytelling itself. Structure. Okay, if breaking progression gets the viewer's attention, then breaking structure is kinda like blindfolding them and then dropping them in the middle of the Sahara Desert. See, all good stories must have a structure, otherwise they just devolve into an unmotivated rambling mess. Kinda like one of those YouTube videos that gets no views cause no one can figure out what it's about.
So basically...
I'm right there with you, buddy. Anyway, structure. Stories usually have a beginning, middle, and end, right? The beginning is where we learn about our characters' backstories, the middle is where they get into all sorts of shenanigans, and the end is where they win and fly off into the sunset. This is the 3-act structure, and this unassuming framework is the backbone for most shows out there. But not Frieren! No. Frieren's structure looks like this. Hope you like sand. But as insane and schizophrenic as it looks, it works. Here's why. The 3-act structure is really good if you're trying to entertain your audience. It pulls people in, raises the stakes, and forces them to keep watching to see how it all ends. But Frieren doesn't just want to entertain. It also tries to relate to you. The long periods of time where nothing's happening, followed by brief moments of introspection, give us time to bond with these characters. Like when you watch Frieren, right? It's not so much about wanting to know what happens next. It's more just hanging out with your 2D friends and seeing what they get up to this week. I think the writers made Frieren this way on purpose, to mimic real life, you know? Like, not everything has to drive the plot forward. Not everything has to build up to a climax. Sometimes things just happen for their own sake. And holy shit, does it sell! In a world where we're obsessed with structure, breaking free of that feels refreshing and, in a way, authentic. That's not to say the show doesn't have cold action sequences that send a chill down your spine though. Those are important too. Anyway, the cool thing is, Frieren now has us in this really weird state, right? By removing structure from the story, we have no idea where the plot's gonna go. Like, we don't know what to expect anymore. And so, we're open to new ideas. Here's where we're at. The show first grabs our attention and then demolishes our expectations. And now, when our guard's down and we don't know what's going on, it nails us with the finishing blow by breaking the biggest rule of storytelling and the biggest secret to Frieren's success. The hero must have a purpose. Know how in every anime the main character has something that drives him? Maybe they want to be the next pirate king. Maybe they're looking for a cure to a deadly disease. Or maybe they're just trying to get laid. This guy. I relate to this guy. Purpose guides our characters and motivates everything they do. Frieren, though, doesn't have a purpose. She just bumbles around with her buddies, picking up side quests, wandering from town to town. She has a goal, sure, to see her old friends again, but that's not really a purpose, right? Like, it's gotta be deeper than that. It's gotta be something you're passionate about and can dedicate your entire life to. And so, for like the first time, we're stuck with a hero that has nothing driving her, and people hated it. Frieren's third rule break got so much heat back in the day. Folks were calling the show boring, others were calling it lame. And you know what? I don't blame them, because if your characters don't have a purpose, then your show just feels slow and unmotivated. It's just the way it is. Like, why do we have to watch these guys help an old lady clean up a statue, right? It's like a GPS with no destination. Sure, you're moving, but you're not really going anywhere. On the other hand though, is some slowness really that bad? The world we live in today moves so fast, right? Everyone's trying to hustle, no one has enough time. Even the stuff we watch online is hyper-optimized to give us as many dopamine hits as possible in as little time as possible. And that's also a reason why people couldn't stand Frieren at first. It was just way too different from what they're used to. But then, something happens. The show grows on you. The more you watch, the more you start to appreciate the change of pace. Suddenly, the quiet moments don't feel so boring anymore. Instead, they're relaxing. Healing, almost. It's kind of like taking a fat shit after holding it in for 3 days. All that weight you've been carrying just disappears. Maybe slowing down once in a while can be kind of nice. And that's what Frieren has been trying to get at this whole time. Funny thing is, no one would have given her a chance if she didn't grab our attention first and redefine everything we thought we knew about anime. The way Frieren became the #1 anime of all time was genius, really. She didn't try to go head-to-head with the previous champ. I mean, how could she? Fullmetal Alchemist was literally the perfect shonen anime. That's why it was up there for 13 years. Instead, Frieren did the opposite. Instead of hyping us up, it healed us. Instead of giving us big flashy fights, we get calm conversations by the river. By breaking these 3 simple rules of storytelling, Frieren changed the game, capturing the hearts of millions and paving the way for all new kinds of anime for years to come. Crazy, right? Subscribe!